Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Tim Brown.
And Sydney Olson.
And today we're talking about the cookieless internet. It's upon us. Technically 2022, when the cookies are changing, particularly in Google Chrome and Google products. Which is a pretty big deal because a lot of the internet's ads run on Google's display network.
Yep.
But we're also going to talk to you about Strike That 6 ways to spend your remarketing budget, because we couldn't stuff them all in 3.
3 wasn't enough. We got 6.
And remarketing is changing and evolving. So as you're looking for other ways to branch out, if the way it's evolving into is not to your likability, is not something you like, there's other things you can do. Okay, so I'll let Sydney give us the basics here.
All right, so what are cookies? This big cookie apocalypse is coming. Everybody's talking about the cookieless future, but just a little brief overview of what it is. So there's actually more than just first and third party cookies. But what's happening is the third party cookies are going away. So what we're still going to have is what are called first party cookies, or 1P. And those are stored by the actual website. So if Hook had cookies, like those are coming through a third party. Mm-hmm. So if you have like your Google Analytics and that's like a code that's running through your website, and information is getting taken from that, that's a third party cookie. But the information that Hook is taking from its actual website on its own is first party. So it's basically the difference between like who owns this information. And that's why it's such a big deal, is because all the data privacy is changing and people want their data to be secure. They want to know who has it. They want to be able to consent to what you're getting. Mm-hmm. So
there's big changes in Europe first, right?
Yes.
Europe had that, like, what is it? GDP, whatever.
Yeah, there's like two different acronyms on what's changing. But yeah, the main thing is just like, we want to keep your information secure.
Yes. And one thing I want to note here is, before we get into the changes that are happening, more will be revealed over time. So we're learning and kind of curating this information for you guys. In general, we're talking to contractors on the series, but we're just curating what we found. We read like 5 articles and watched 5 videos, and now we're trying to synthesize it and give it to you quick and try to give you what are the actions you should take from that. So let's get into what's happening.
So we just kind of said the big thing that's happening is that those third-party cookies are going away. So advertisers use those third-party cookies to kind of follow you around the website. So if I was, in the market for a new roof and I was on your website, later on I might be reading an article, I might be on like BuzzFeed taking a fun quiz, and all of a sudden that ad pops up from the same website. So that's what cookies are doing. They're kind of just following you around the website for a set amount of days to keep that brand at the front of your mind. And
so from what we understand, we've got currently they're doing that as you're an individual identity. Mm-hmm. And the way Google is changing this will be more of like a flock of people, right? So they can still target you, retargeting. Mm-hmm. There will be, it sounds like there will be some version of retargeting. It's just evolving. But they're moving to flocks instead of individual targets.
Yes.
But now what?
Now what? So from the consumer side, so from me looking for specific things, it's just going to be less personalized. Things might be more irrelevant. Looking at websites might just be like more annoying to me because it's not as personal.
It sounds like particularly for like if you're shopping for shoes, you won't see that exact those shoes necessarily.
So it's much more, you're right.
More
like the e-commerce side of things is going to be a little bit more irrelevant. Whereas we're hoping that, with what we're going to talk about today, more on like the contractor side of things, there's other things that we can do to still target more specific audiences. But yes, absolutely on the e-commerce side of things, it's just going to be more difficult to kind of like see what you want, because they don't necessarily have the same information, or in a year and a half, they won't have the same information that they have now.
So as a consumer, maybe your ads will be a little less creepy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Step 1, note the places that you're using third-party cookies. And so where are we using them? We're probably using them Facebook ads, right? Mm-hmm. Google Chrome's going to block that. And a lot of people might follow. Mm-hmm. So like we're talking 2022, but Google Chrome's going to say, nope, gone.
Yep.
And then obviously the Google Display Network, anything in Chrome. And then I think this essentially leads the movement towards that. They're probably trying to get ahead of this so that the government doesn't say stop.
Yes.
That they say stop and they do it on their terms and they make a shift to this flocks approach. And then what information are you collecting? And then identify the gaps.
Yep. So what are you currently using those third-party cookies for? And then what are you using those first-party cookies for? Because once the third party goes away, we can still use that first party. Where are those gaps? What do we need to fill? How do we make those shifts for that cookieless future that is coming soon?
All right. So what's the first thing that we can do to replace this if we lose all this it has been cool. This is why this stinks for marketers, is because the way cookies have worked, it's been a hack. It's a really cool way to get in front of people granularly by one individual. We can hit them again with an ad when they leave our website the next day, and that might change, it might shift based on this new situation. So what do we do instead?
Yeah, so the biggest, most important thing is, like Tim said, we're all figuring this out. Things are changing. Everybody is still kind of on the same boat of like, what do we do?
Yeah.
But starting now, the most important thing that you can do is invest in your first party data. So invest in that information that you own. So again, like with Hook's website, the information that we're getting directly from our customers, that information we own, we can still utilize that to retarget people.
More email captures, more captures on your site, and providing something of value to get that to trade.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. Tim's a little ahead on the slides, but we're exactly though, utilizing like loyalty programs, emails, what can you offer somebody in exchange for that data? So being able to provide value while getting that information is going to be really, really important moving forward, because we're not just going to automatically get that information anymore. People have to give it to us. So investing in that, or, if you're a marketer, investing in that for your clients and making sure that that's something that is on the forefront of our mind, because that's like the number one most important thing that you can do, and you can start doing it today.
It's not a bad just principle in general. Like whenever we're investing in Google, I'm going to kind of like, contradict this a little bit with the, I'm the pirate side of this. Like whenever we're just letting Facebook and Google and Amazon be the people that own that audience, that's scary. They can take away that at any moment, but your email list, you can own forever. And that's yours. No one can take that away from you. You can even export it from MailChimp or Constant Contact and pull it and take it with you and send emails another way. So it's just getting closer to the data and owning it a little bit more closely if possible. Yeah,
exactly. Being able to own that data, because they can't take it away from you, but they are taking everything else away.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're investing in that, and then utilizing your CRM. So we have some more information on like the way that you can separate out different audiences and take all of the, take all that data and put it into different groups, and lots more on that. But just really investing in a good CRM, especially if you don't have one right now, that's a good place to kind of start moving that budget into and getting it all set up where you're getting the information that you need. You're separating it out into places that you need it to be separated out into, and just really organizing all that information for when we're really going to need it.
Awesome. And then certainly these guys do have a lot of data though, and getting better with their other built-in targeting besides just the ones that utilize third-party data. I'm still trying to figure out if remarketing goes away entirely or if it just changes, but I'll let you do this one.
So obviously we don't want to take everything that Google says at face value, because they want to get our money. They want to package things up to look really pretty, especially with the big changes that they're making that people are scared of. But they did a study with BCG and said that using first-party data for key marketing functions increases revenue by 2.9 times, and it saves 1.5 times in costs.
Color me a little skeptical, but nonetheless, I like the optimism.
Yes, we like the numbers. Yeah. We want to make more money and spend less money. So, again, like Tim said, take it with a little grain of salt, but hopefully there's some truth in that, where using this personalized data, using this first-party data can get us more revenue, and we can actually save some money once we get things figured out.
If nothing else, it's forcing us to try different audiences based on our current lists. And if we haven't tried that yet, that's a great place to start.
Yep.
You already talked about the loyalty programs. I'll let you do this one.
Yeah. So we touched a little bit on offering value in exchange for that data. So there's just like some examples. So incorporating consent forms is going to be really big. We talked about it in the beginning, but people want to know what data you're getting from them, what they're going to do with it, and how secure it is. So incorporating those different types of consent forms, letting the customer choose what they want to share with you, increases that trust within your brand or within your company, and people are going to be more likely to want to buy from you. So just some examples of the ways that you can do this is share a piece of content. So like, hey, fill out this form and get this free list of 6 things to, invest your budget into, or getting like a free quote.
So I'll throw something out there on that. My favorite way to do that is your best content. You take your best 3 pieces of content that have the most traffic on your website, and you make a deeper guide version of that. And this is for people that have a good chunk of traffic, that have good organic traffic, and do a content upsell. So have a form at the end of that piece of content saying, would you like, you had 6 tips for dealing with GDPR or whatever it happens to be, and here's 21, whatever it happens to be. And the ability to do that on your top 3 posts. So if you have hundreds of people coming to these already a week, helping them get, basically giving them a deluxe version of the content exchange for their data.
Yep. And yeah, exactly. We want to add value. We don't want to just be like, hey, we'll send you something that you can already get on our website for giving us your data. We want to increase that trust. We want to say, we want your data, of course, but we also want to be giving you something of value.
Yes.
So like a lot of our clients that are, say roofers is, hey, fill out this form and we'll get a free quote for you. A solar company is fill out this information and we'll let you know how much your bill is going to be a month. Like give them really good quality things for their data.
Yeah, like checklists work. We use templates. We have a lot of templates and creating and sharing templates, and then calculators and tools. Like if you're able to put a little bit of R&D into making a tool on your website and exchanging, that's an awesome one as well.
Yeah, there's just a few other things there. So more on utilizing your CRM for your first party data. I know Tim wanted to talk a little bit about utilizing your different custom audiences, the different types of audiences that you kind of segment into. And
basically CRMs, we got hey, if somebody was a lead and never converted, certainly getting back in front of those people, right? The old cold leads, home show leads, hey, a lot of you go to do a home show twice, 3 times, 4 times a year. You've got these lists of like emails that you've gotten or data there. Get that into this. Get that into a custom audience on Google's display network and get that moving. And then, upsell leads. I mean, ultimately it comes down to, I've seen a lot of different companies, the home services. Sometimes they're people that sell big items like plumbers, HVAC, roofers, and they don't necessarily have ways to like get back in people's mind. But like, that's why I love maintenance agreements. A lot of different home services niches use maintenance agreements and staying in front of them. Ultimately, I do like I think about our roofers all the time. They sell big things and sometimes it's done. What else could you do on a quarterly or a yearly basis for them to be their trusted roofer, to be their, that's, to me, it's about maintenance and stuff like that in this case. Yes. So, I thought you had a question for me. All right, let's get to the next one here. Persistent identities. You know more about this than I do. I feel like we're both learning about this. This is new. So talk to us.
Yes. So persistent identities, this is like a very analytical way of explaining it, but they use deterministic data, which is different than the data that's coming from cookies. So the way that cookies get your information, there's actually, I went to this website that shows you like what Google knows about you. And it will say, some of the things were spot on, your age group, some of those things. But then some of them were like, we think that you're this gender, which could be completely wrong. We think you're this. So the way that cookies work is it's like they're educated guesses. So a lot of the demographic information.
PIDs?
This is why PIDs are better because the cookies, it's information that they assume about you. It's assumed information. Whereas with PIDs, it's like direct information from the consumers, which we keep touching on is getting the information from the actual customer is going to be better. It's going to be more accurate than like making assumptions about you. So
This
that's
feels
the
like
difference.
we're talking about AI basically. There's AI things going on. And I guess I do see smart marketers of all types, and particularly of the paid variety, that are trusting AI a little bit more to make these decisions versus I want only people that have been to my website before. We're going to go after this genre of people versus I'm going to, I need it to be somebody that's been on our website before. So there is a little bit of like loosening up and letting AI help. And, hey, I have a little mistrust of AI, but I see a lot of smart marketers that trust it to help with their paid ads. And we're kind of trusting Google that they might be smart. At the end of the day, if your ads are not getting conversions, Google knows its ad budgets, people are going to spend less money. So ultimately they want you to get conversions and they want to try to do that. So they're not going to do anything. I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, that affects their bottom line extremely negatively. So that's one thing that I, cross our fingers and hope that this is going to be as good. Right.
Well, and the thing too with like, we keep kind of saying flocks or what Google is moving into. And a good way to think about that is like some of the options that Google already has within their ad accounts, you can use like in-market audiences. So they might not necessarily have already been to your website, but they're looking for things that are similar to what you're offering. So it seems like what the flocks are is like it's putting people in groups based on their browsing history or like based on their interests. So it seems to be similar to like those in-market audiences, or they're searching for similar things and they're kind of grouping them together based on like their browsing.
If you're watching right now, take a moment to like the video, comment, say what's up. Is there any comments that are questions or anything like that?
No comments that are questions. Basically, a couple of comments that are just love this content.
All right, good, nice.
So to continue with those PIDs or the persistent identities, it's basically the other good thing about them is that it's like cross device. So if this is the example, like I get an email on my phone for a promotion, I open it up, say this is like the example I put on here is kind of more e-commerce, but I put a few things in my cart and then I'm like, not right now, I close out of it. Later on, I open up my laptop, I search for the company, and then it pulls it up. That looks like an organic search, right? So I'm on a different device. It looks like I'm on a different person. But with the PIDs, you can track the entire buying process over different devices.
Google's going to like that because they're going to get credit.
Exactly.
Yay. Yes. Maybe it's Google just saying, I want more credit and we're going to figure out how to get it.
Yep. And you can get just really granular attribution from that too. Like, it wasn't necessarily a fully organic conversion because it came from the email. So it's able to kind of give credit in those different places.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yes. So
Sydney's
a little bit.
Right
I was
now.
like, a little bit.
I don't know jack about PIDs. I'm excited to learn that.
But they seem really awesome. It seems like a really good way to like track one person because it basically gives you like a unique ID. Yeah. So the thing though, you do have to be logged in to something. So like I know that I'm logged into my email, like my Gmail stuff on my phone and on my computer. And if you have a tablet, so it gives you a unique ID towards that. And then it tracks what you're doing on all the different devices.
Do you think this is why Google bends over backwards to try to get, like they're trying to, like the business suite and all this, they want you to have a Google ID.
they want you to be logged in. Yes, they want you to be logged in on
somehow.
Everything.
So that's why they have the Google, like some of the stuff's like, damn, you're giving away like basically a word competitor for free. They want you to be logged in, baby.
Oh yeah, because as you're logged in, that's the more information they can grab from you. But as soon as you log out of something like this, as those cookies are going away, you're not providing them with that data anymore. So exactly, they want you to be logged in on all of your things. They can keep tracking you.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things is like some of these things were previously only available to, like what I'm hearing is some of these things were previously only available to big companies that had really, really intense multi-touch attribution, like software and things going on. And it sounds like it might be a little bit more like democratizing some of that technology that was already there. And so that could be a good thing.
We got Britta on LinkedIn that wants to know if this presentation will be made available after.
Sure, we'll pop it in the comments here in a little bit after we're done. So brand building. Talk to me about what you mean by that.
Yes. So a lot of when we think about remarketing is it's people that have already been on your website, right? So people that are already interested in you. And that's a great way to stay top of mind, to keep your brand out there. However, if you're only doing that, that's what? 2% of people that might actually be interested in your services. So by building your brand and showing up in more places, and like it says, push into reach and engagement, by building that, you're getting in front of more people that might not have known about your services, but are interested in them.
And we'll talk about very specific ways to hit those like different audiences here in a second. Examples from my perspective, like might be video ads with great creative to your top. We were talking last week with somebody, Dope Marketing, about hitting zip codes with direct mail. But like, think about that. Like, you know, it's funny. Geo-targeting is not that hard. Like, and it's like really easy and really cool these days on both Facebook and Google ads. You can hit zip codes. So he had suggested exporting your list of customers from the past couple of years, sorting by zip codes, and then taking your top 3 zip codes and then hitting them with direct mail. And I think that applies here to video ads on YouTube, doing pre-roll or doing pre-roll based, like that first like 5-10 second video towards people. That's a brand building exercise. It's not always going to convert into like, I want something now, you know, like I want a free quote because I was planning on watching that video, but now that you hit me with this ad, I cannot stop myself and I must go get a free quote from this roofing company or this landscaping company or whatever. Maybe that doesn't happen, but you can do it you can hit them with the same fonts, logo, messaging. You're keeping your messaging simple and clear and getting in front of them, and you're hitting them with the same thing. And that's, we talk about this a lot on this Contractor Marketing Live, but keeping it consistent so that it feels like the same thing. If they see your truck, you're advertising in that area, those zip codes, maybe using some other targeting features that we'll talk about, but like video pre-roll, really good video pre-roll with those first 10 seconds, very tight and very targeted with the same stuff. You're hitting them with other messaging, consistent brand messaging on Google Display Network. So any other Google Display Network, like we're talking about where to spend this budget. You can use Google Display Network in other ways, right? Using your top 3 zip codes, brand, tagline, call to action, simple ads that are consistent with the other stuff, and then the consistency.
Yep. All right. Find sites that own your audience's attention. So the big thing here is like, yes, we're talking about all these changes that are coming with Google and Chrome, but there's so many other opportunities out there that we often don't think about because Google has so much of the market share, right? But by thinking of things that are like within your niche or where your customers are spending time, it's almost like they're going to be more qualified leads probably because people are interested in this already. So
yeah, and so reaching out to and partnering with these websites that already have your audience's attention, like why not? We're making it too hard sometimes because we're hitting it with ads. And I will say one bad thing about remarketing, and one bad thing about this, I was on that website yesterday, so now I'm getting hit with ads, is I'm reading controversial stuff and then I see my ad pop up next to it. I'm like terrified. I don't want that. Maybe that's a little too scary. In a way, in this case, I've seen like we had a debt collection licensing. We have a debt collection licensing company and they found the one publication that talks to all those people that are doing debt collection. And they said, all right, what's your ad package like on your website? How can we get ads? And just putting them on that website, everywhere on that website, so that audience sees our stuff. So it's easier if you're a B2B company in that way. And if you're a B2C company like a contractor, I think it comes down to location. So, and you can reach out to them directly. You don't have to go through anybody like Google and have that middleman price either. For us, you know, if we're targeting contractors, hey, we might see what the package is like on Roofer's Coffee Shop. I know that's a place that people go. And then cities sometimes have active community sites, yourcityname.com or other active communities in certain areas. Maybe it's the homeowners association in that area. Maybe whatever it happens to be, find ways to get in front of those orgs, ask what their rates are, and look for good deals. That's an important point. And what's a good deal? hey, I don't know what it's worth to you. I'm looking for numbers like $1,000 a month that tops. Like because I guess I am a little spoiled by Google's ad network. Like we're usually spending smaller quantities on our remarketing. So, but they might have a little bit higher prices, but if it's very concentrated of that exact audience, maybe you can go up a bit. And if it's a little less concentrated, I'm trying to spend only a couple $100 or something. So it really comes down to, is it the right fit? And maybe you reach out to several, they often have rate sheets. So get the rate sheet, compare the deals, find ones that have a concentrated grouping of your ideal customers. All right, so 5, target partners and not just customers. So with a properly structured Google Ads account, you guys do that really well, right?
That's a big thing.
Yeah. You can highlight the value of partnering with you both in your ads and in relevant website pages. So this means maybe have a partnership page on your website, and then also the idea of getting in front of the people that would bring you many customers, right? That's the real principle here. Who could bring us many customers? I chose, maybe this is more of a commercial construction, commercial services example, but I'm talking about, property managers. Like in this case, you can actually do Google Display Network ads for content that's about property managers. So if you're trying to get to property managers, you can do it based on content, right? So like you can say, if they're looking at content about this, and that goes for a lot of different kinds of ads, right? Like, they're looking at content about gutters. Let's be the ad on that page. That's a really great way to target in general, but also be thinking about it like, how could I get in front of the people? Like maybe your group is realtors. How could I get in front of people that are looking into home values and these different things? Definitely an opportunity if you're not using that in your Google ad account.
So other audiences and targeting. So Tim mentioned like location targeting is so important and it's so easy to do. So you can target like as specific as you want. You can target a whole state or a county or a zip code. You can do radiuses. So you can, without, as we're losing information about customers in the future and we don't maybe have as much as that demographic information, we still know where your ideal customers are potentially located, especially with, our contractors. We know where your service areas are. That's where we can continue to target. We don't want to be spending money on somebody that might be interested in you, but they're out of your service area. So being able to like really geo-fence or geo-target into somewhere is important, easy, and we can continue doing that even as these cookies go away.
And I don't know if it's on my next slide, maybe not. I just want to kind of reiterate, like, I think about contractors, sometimes we like to go after the whole city, right? Like I think about big areas, but like I push people a little bit like, no, where do you want to be doing this? Because there's a lot of homeowners in the top 3 zip codes. We don't need to go across town if you really want to be here. You know what I mean? It's okay, especially with these forms. Like I'm going to do it from 20 minutes from where our home base is, 30 minutes from where our home base is, and really focusing on that. I'm not saying don't take business from across town. I think about our guy in Elk River, like I'm not saying don't take business in St. Paul. I'm saying when you're focus on your close area. There's nothing wrong with that. And especially like that's where it's better because then you can hit them 10 times.
That's somewhere.
Instead of hitting the entire area one time, right? Like I just want to reiterate, getting really tight and granular, where would we prefer to do the work with these things makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And just another note is like a lot of our customers as well, or a lot of our clients, like you can put out an ad for any type of service that you provide, but we generally like to focus on like those high price items, right? So if you are doing roof installations and roof repairs and you're like, we'll take those roof repairs, but it's not necessarily like what we're going for. So similar to like your location, we'll take something across town, but it's not necessarily what we want to like be pushing our money into. Push your money into where you ideally want to be. And then, those other leads are probably still going to come in from other places. They'll probably still get, gutter cleaning coming in. But if you're spending money on these ad budgets, let's do it these high priced items. Let's do it in these areas that we want to be in. and then other things will roll in organically.
Love it. And we still have stuff around gender, age. I don't know how much of this goes away, but I do know that they're going to do their best to approximate this with flocks, maybe with a different method. But like the ability to take, the gender, age, household income. When I think about home services, who do you think is making these decisions? Like, I think if I can I'm going for a little bit of the higher household income. We'll just knock that out right away. I'll be honest. And then I'm thinking 35 to 65. I'm thinking more female because females make a lot of these decisions. And ultimately, I think parents is probably a pretty good one too. So I think there's a lot of ways to kind of really think. Once again, it's about your top. Where are our customers? What are you seeing? Are they 70% female? Let's use that in the ad account. And that's why it's good. Like, we're working with clients. It's good to share that information. I always ask for percentages because I'm trying to spend as much money on the most likely to buy people as possible.
And with this too, you don't have to be like you can, if you don't want to target 18 to 24 at all, take them out. But if you're like, maybe there's some 18 to 24-year-old homeowners, we'll keep them in there, but you can decrease the amount of, you can change it to, negative 10%. So we're going to be willing to spend less on these types of customers, whereas that, 35 to 65 range, we want to hit those hard. So we want to go, plus 10%, plus 20%. We're willing to spend more on those clicks because we think that they're going to be higher quality leads. But you don't necessarily have to say, like, we don't want these people at all. You can say we don't want these people at all. So there's a lot of options.
I love that.
So basically what we're saying is, at the end of the day, we as advertisers, as marketers, have been too reliant on cookies and hyper targeting when there's other opportunities that are out there. And we're forgetting about that brand exposure. We're forgetting about brand building, and we're potentially just missing out on a lot of potential customers. So, the cookieless future is forcing us to rethink what we're doing, why we're doing it, who we're targeting.
And I personally think the more you can loosen up a little bit with like perfect attribution, the more you can focus on how all of this works in concert to create new customers. I want them to get ads, and for these top zip codes, I want them to see your truck. I want them to maybe get a mailer. I want them to, when they Google you, to see those 5 stars, to see that, that you're coming up in the results. Like, when these all hit together, you're going to have a much easier time closing deals. Add in video, game over. There's a lot of ways that you can build your brand together. And like, I'm sure you can tell in Google ad accounts when somebody has built their brand in an area, the conversion rate, everything goes up. Everything goes up when you build your brand, thinking a little bit more holistically about how you're getting these things working together.
Everything works in tandem. The more you're doing, the more you're going to see.
So anyways, I think that's the end of this presentation. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is the Contractor Marketing Live. And every week we're going to be back here, almost every week at least. Hey, maybe we're traveling or something, but appreciate you guys watching. Comment, like the video if this has been useful to you guys, and say hi if you think Sydney should come back. Pop a note and say Sydney's doing a great job if you guys think it was a good video. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. Bye.